Good evening, everybody. This is Danny Thompson with Beyond the Buzzer, and this is September 28th, 2020. We are live here on I-95 Sports Network, Zingo Television, Facebook Live, YouTube, and anywhere you hear the sound of my voice. And for the next hour and a half, myself and the man to my right of me, from the three-point conversion, my colleague, tag team partner, pick and roll partner, the hawk to my animal in the Road Warriors tag team combination, the student of the game himself, Mr. Kyle Nash. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, always a pleasure to continue to catch the alley-oops from you, my friend. And hey, at the end of the day, this is a very unique show, unlike the others to start the season. We're really getting into the momentum of things, and there's a lot of stuff we got here to talk about. This is probably the single most excited I've been in 2020 to do a show with you, Danny Thompson.
Yes, and if you want to be part of this exciting show tonight, if you are watching on Facebook or YouTube or anywhere else that can actually chime in and comment, put your comment on the screen. Now, mind you, if you are on Facebook, and Kyle and I and Bobby, we all share the link so people can watch it live. Click on the original link. That way we can see your comments as we are going live. All right. So, and trust me, we don't have no problem showing live comments on this show. Kyle and I have been doing this for a long time. Mm-hmm. Also, big shout outs to one of our sponsor, as you see above my left-hand shoulder. It is valid at itsvalour.us. See, just like Precious did. Like Precious. If you like Precious, be like Precious. See? Very simple. At its.valour.us, which is the home for everything all marketing, social media, as well as gifts. They do a bit of everything. One-stop shop for everything is looking. I can't mess up everything. Because guess what? That leads into tonight's topic, which is sponsored by Valor. It's the What's the Buzz segment. I can't mess up things worse than Doc Rivers messed things up with the LA Clippers because guess what?
Oh, you're harsh, dog.
Doc Rivers, as you see on the screen right here, was let go today. Now, mind you, he was not fired. Air quote. They had a mutual parting of the ways with Doc Rivers having 2 years left on his contract. All right. Rivers was let go after the Clippers imploded in the playoffs once again. So for those scoring at home, Doc Rivers, who won a championship in Boston, was in LA longer than most series on Netflix and never got to the conference finals. Not once. Now, mind you, his teams have had injuries. They've had Chris Paul go down, Blake Griffin go down. Now they had Kawhi and PG Gates. You had Lemon Lou Pepper Will Gates. They have been through a lot of gates under Doc Rivers, but the only gate they couldn't get to the gate was the gate of an NBA championship. Now he's gone. Kyle, did you expect this one coming?
Well, listen, man. First of all, you talk about injuries. I think Beverly's worth mentioning, right? Or am I getting the wrong team in my mind here?
No, Beverly was out. Well, Pat Beverly had injuries. We can talk injuries all you want to, but let's be honest. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George were there to do one thing. That was to give LeBron James everything he needed, if not exceed LeBron James in the Battle of LA. Yeah. Guess what? The little brother who'd been training for years to fight the big brother couldn't even beat the neighborhood bully.
You know, see, here's the thing. I know that's the narrative that you want to put out there, but that's like saying Steve McNair isn't a Hall of Fame quarterback because, Peyton Manning oftentimes did better. That's ridiculous. And if our man Colton's here tonight, he'll know what I'm talking about. This is so unfair to Doc Rivers, but yet again, I'm not in a position to tell you it's inaccurate. Listen, I have a bit more faith in humanity than you do, and that's okay, Danny Thompson. But at the end of the day, I mean, listen, I'm a Doc Rivers guy. I think what I've seen and know of him, he's a cool guy. The dude actually left a message on my voicemail because the guy was he was at the Microsoft store doing some promo or something. A friend of mine worked there. Hey, my buddy's birthday's today. You want to call him? I couldn't get to the phone because reasons, and I got a message on my phone from Doc Rivers. The fact that he would even be willing to do that shows he was a decent guy on top of it. And you're going to put all this stuff on him? I can't do it.
Listen, Doc's one of the best. I'm arguably one of my top 3 coaches to be around on a regular basis. Doc answers everything. Doc will give you great comments. He'll give you great stuff to write on. He's upfront. He's honest. As a human being, he is one of the arguably, hands down, he is there. Doc Rivers won a championship in Boston and is expected to win in LA. They've went out. They've changed owners. They've done everything they can. They've had Chris Paul. You've had Blake Griffin. You had Lob City. You evolved Lob City into something else. And the problem is, now you evolved it into bringing in two superstars. You brought Kawhi Leonard home. You brought Paul George home. Everything was going right until it wasn't going right. Now we have word of guys being tired in the fourth quarter, getting blown out by the Nuggets. You have issues with Montrezl Harrell and Paul George not being a leader. There's a whole bunch of things going on, and Doc Rivers has Doc Rivers face on the sideline as his team blows 3 double-digit leads. And yes, I'm saying double-digit leads here, and we're not even 5 minutes into the show. Blowing double-digit leads in the fourth quarter to get themselves eliminated.
You can't, just like you can't blame Doc Rivers for Paul George having no heart, you can't blame me for that reference you just made. That's all I'm saying, Eddie Thompson.
Oh, listen, okay, for those who've not watched this show, and shame on you, by the way, don't worry. The ammunition's coming, and I'm pretty sure it's going to hit from all different places here. All right. So, Bobby, here's the thing. You can either shoot me now or you're going to shoot me later. It's on you because you control the comments.
Dang, there she goes. Oh, it's hard. Precious, I don't have your address, but when I get it, you will be getting a bill from my therapist, miss. Thank you very much.
You see this? This is what I'm waiting for.
Although points for her spelling fraud comes correctly.
and right on cue, here comes Ashley Larry. All right. All right.
You know what? See, that's what I'm talking about. But you should be a member of the Clippers because even when you're losing series, you still find a way to get a spectacular dunk in, Danny Thompson. I respect that.
Like I said, all right, so Doc Rivers is gone. Another job opens up. Now, here's the crazy thing. Not even within, I'm going to say, Kyle, 20 minutes of Doc Rivers and the Clippers parting ways, Doc Rivers has already become the leading head coaching candidate for the Philadelphia 76ers and the New Orleans Pelicans.
Can we just say in the NBA right now? Wouldn't it be simpler?
Or he can go take a television job.
I mean,
Listen, Doc was a great analyst at one point. I want to say he was on NBC at one point. Great analyst. Listen, Doc ain't got to rush for no job. And I'm not rushing to run to Philadelphia anyway.
Oh, boy. They talk about you, Danny Thompson. I don't know what you expect me to do about that.
I mean, what more can I say? I mean, we're going to get to that in a minute, all right? But you know what? Speaking of happy times, there's 2 sets of fan bases in the NBA that's completely happy right now. We all know about the LA Lakers fans, but give it up for the Miami Heat last night, closing out the Boston Celtics to get themselves to their first NBA Finals. And Kyle, in all the years of the NBA, Kyle, this has never happened. Two teams that missed the playoffs as 10th seeds the year before, finished 10th in the standings, are now playing for the NBA Finals in the next season.
What a story, right? And I mean, listen, we all know what it is with LeBron and AD and all the people out there who still hate on LeBron like the bloviating clickbaiters that they are. I'm not going to mention names, but hey, if her flight happens to get snowed in, I wouldn't blame them. But what I will say is this, Danny Thompson, I love the story behind Jimmy Buckets and the Heat, man. No one had them getting this far in the playoffs. We had them making the playoffs. You and I are pundits enough to know that. Even in my level 3 only novice status at the beginning of the year, I would have picked the Heat to make it simply because the East sucks. But if nothing else, they took advantage and started from the bottom. Now they're here, as the song will tell you, right?
I mean, and the most important thing right now is it's now the best of 7. It doesn't matter how you got here, it's the fact that you got here.
Yes.
Kyle, listen, the Lakers have won every series in the entire Western Conference with the gentleman's sweep, 4-1. Miami's a huge underdog. They were the 4th overall. They were the 4th best team in the Eastern Conference. They got out of the first round, beating Miami. They beat the Bucks, surprisingly, to a lot of people's surprisement. And then they turn around and beat the Boston Celtics. Kyle, honestly, do the Heat stand a chance? And I'm going to let you lead, and I'll go behind you.
I really think they do. I mean, listen, some things have to go right, but hey, listen, that's half of this game of the NBA in the playoff form, right? No one would have told you a team from Canada was going to take it last time we did this. Am I right? I'm just throwing this out there, folks. You know, I'm not prepared to rule out Miami. Listen, AD is a great player. I'm not here to slow him down or say anything bad about him. But the situation where he's got to go against Bam and company, that defensively, he's going to have to pull back and shoot. That's got to be consistent. Not saying it won't, but I think that's the thing that'll be important. And I'm looking forward to Jimmy Buckets versus LeBron. Listen, at his age, I doubt he'll be taking him for the entire game, but those two are going to clash swords. And damn it, I don't care how anybody feels about either player and whether they're actually the GOAT or not. That's a fun matchup, and that's what you want to see in the NBA Finals, in my ever so humble opinion.
Listen, to Rodney's point, Miami's giving him 04 Pistons vibes. It could be. The one thing people don't want to give Miami credit for is Miami's a very good team basketball. To Rodney's point, they're a team led by a guy that has a humongous chip on his shoulder in Jimmy Butler. Butler has a chip on his shoulder because he's not recognized as one of the 10 best players in the league. He wasn't. He hasn't been. He's been arguably fighting his entire career to finally get to that superstar status. And guess what? In order for him to get to that mountaintop, there's a guy who is, let's be honest, he's known as the King, LeBron James. King James himself is standing in the way from Jimmy Butler, pushing himself to that level goal. The Miami Heat, like you said before, Kyle, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I had the Heat as a top 4 seed when the season started. I thought they were towards 7 or 8 in the Eastern Conference when this season started. I'll be the first one to say.
Yeah, I thought you had them at 6.
I had them at 7 or 8. I mean, because I thought Brooklyn was going to be better. I mean,
didn't we all?
I mean, I had Indiana in front of them, so I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew this from the very beginning. I had Miami as 7 and 8, fighting with Orlando for that final spot in the East. You know, that's how the difference was. Butler has been phenomenal in the playoffs, but the guy that really has been stepping up for Miami has been Tyler Hero, rookie Tyler Hero. Mm-hmm. Now, the real question is, Kyle, if these games were on the road and they were playing the normal style playoffs, would Tyler Hero have this much of an impact as a rookie?
I mean, listen, maybe not as much when they actually go to LA in the Staples Center, but I wouldn't rule out him doing big things when they're here in Miami. Call them bandwagoneers if you want, but when they're good, that Miami fan base isn't stupid. Like, listen, they might have been dumb enough to run out of a few games in the finals when a long shooting former member of the Boston Big Three started hitting shots and made him wish they didn't leave the game. But when Miami fans are doing good, they're a force to be reckoned with. I'm not saying it's anything like these yellow belly lovers. I'm not going there. I'm not saying they're similar to Lakers fans, but it ain't like they're ineffective. And listen, to your point, you mentioned the roster that Miami has. That's easy to forget about them.
Exactly. Don't mind my face, Kyle, as you're making your expression. It's not about what you were saying. It's about what the comments are saying.
I read them too. I'm just better at
Yeah, you know what? Yes, weak to Martinsdale, hilarious. Or Brian, or you know what, Brian? Here's the real drinking game. How many jokes about the Atlanta Falcons we're going to see between 9 and 11:30 by 10:30? Guarantee you're drunk. I think you're drunk by 10 o'clock.
I was like, viewer warning: we do not advocate this game being played because it will lead to alcohol poisoning.
Back to me. All right, so we look at the finals. It's real simple. I think it's a lot of things. Anthony Davis has had a problem over the last few games, Kyle. No, he's scoring the ball at a great rate, but Anthony Davis acts like a rebound is like the Black Plague or the Falcons trying to recover an onside kick. He just can't rebound the last few games. Anthony Davis, listen, it's better when it's self-inflicted.
You can't stab me if I'm already stabbed, world.
Listen, the Falcons did the damage yesterday. I was going ahead and continue it off. As I was saying, Anthony Davis has been struggling to rebound the last few games for some strangely odd reason. It's not the fact that the Lakers have an old school Dennis Rodman rebounding every 5 seconds. No, it's not the fact of, they're playing against teams that have great rebounding skills. Anthony Davis should walk into 10 rebounds a game by himself. He hasn't had 10 rebounds in the last 2 games. They're going to need him to rebound. The thing with Miami is that Miami can use Bam Adebayo, who can guard multiple positions against Anthony Davis. Bam Adebayo is Dwight Howard 2.0, but the only difference is that Adebayo can actually play on the perimeter at this part of his career, and Dwight Howard couldn't. They're just as effective, dangerous as they are. They're extremely long, very athletic. Davis can try to bang with Bam, but Bam's going to go right back at him. If Davis wants to go on the perimeter, Bam can chase him around the perimeter. LeBron James, he's going to have not only just Jimmy Butler. When Butler's out of the game, it's going to be Andre Iguodala, who's guarded LeBron in the finals 3 times already in his career. You got Jay Crowder, who's been guarding LeBron for years. It's going to be a revolving door on guys LeBron James in this entire series.
And forgive me, did not Iguodala get a Finals MVP doing that very task, or do I have the wrong year?
Oh, no, he did it correctly. Yes, LeBron almost averaged a triple-double. The problem was that entire team was out. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love were both out. And Andre Iguodala did everything he could on LeBron James in that series to win Finals MVP. The real question in this series is, can the Lakers, rest of the Lakers, the other 13 guys in this roster, help Davis and LeBron on a nightly basis? You're going to need scoring from Kyle Kuzma. You're going to need Rajon Rondo. You're going to need Mark. You're going to need Morris. You're going to need KCP. You're going to need Alex Caruso. You're going to need Magic Johnson, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, even Michael Cooper. You better find anybody possible to help this team score. Glenn Rice, Rick Fox. I don't care who you call. Robert Horry. They're going to need as much scoring as they can, because the one thing the Miami Heat can do, Jimmy Butler does not need to score to win.
Correct.
We've watched Tyler Hero go off in the playoffs. We've watched Goran Dragic go off in the playoffs. Duncan Robinson, if he gets open, you don't want him shooting the basketball. It will go down. Kelly Olynyk, we haven't really seen much of him, but don't worry. They're going to keep Dwight Howard out that paint, so guess what? They're going to use the stretch 4. Crowder can shoot, and we haven't seen much of Kendrick Nunn, but guess what? It is what it is. Jimmy Butler doesn't have to score to make things happen. Stop it. But here's the difference in the series. And then not to mention, Miami has a humongous advantage in coaching. Eric Spoelstra needs a clap, and people need to give him his respect as he deserves, as not just one of the best coaches in the NBA, but hey, he might be one of the best coaches in this generation.
Sir, you need to stand in line behind me while I also rant for Russell Carrington Wilson, because for the NBA talent, I can't call him a player because he's not, that's been disrespected for the lack of respect that I've been preaching, because I haven't talked about basketball on the radio show until I got to you, unfortunately, has been Spoelstra. Man, listen, whether it's a diva or a young guy, this guy can reach him, and that's a talent in the NBA. You don't have many guys who can do that. And over here, Spoelstra's not special. Who's laughing now? Nah, give Spoelstra his respect. Listen, I'll pass you the gravy when I'm done with it, and I've been pouring it on his head for at least a number of years. I'm just saying.
Listen, Eric Spoelstra is the coaching version of Russell Wilson, as you just mentioned. He doesn't get the respect he deserves. Eric Spoelstra has been said that, he was only winning because he had Pat Riley's talent. Guess what? Pat Riley's been in that front office for over 15 years now. It's time. And Spoelstra has won how many championships in Miami? He's won more than Doc Rivers has. Okay, he's gotten to more finals. It is what it is. Eric Spoelstra has won he's won with Hall of Fame players. Now he's got to the finals with a team. He's got an all-star for a leader. Now, they don't have any first ballot Hall of Famers. They don't have any top 25 players in the history of the game on this roster. And Spoelstra got them to the finals. When he got into the finals the last time, guess what? The second time around, guess what? He had prime LeBron, prime Wade, prime Bosh. The first time he got championships, it was Hall of Fame Wade, because he was definitely his prime then. That was Flash Wade. And he had, aging Shaq and a whole old Alonzo Mourning, a whole bunch of players when they beat Dallas that one year as well too. They have won with Spoelstra either as an assistant or as a head coach. They have gotten here. It is time to give Eric Spoelstra his credit. He might even be, he might be a top 2 or 3 head coach in this league right now. When you're talking about Nick Nurse, Eric Spoelstra, listen, Brad Stevens lost this series, but he lost to Eric Spoelstra. It wasn't like he lost to nobody here.
Right.
Frank Vogel hasn't coached in this moment before. Spoelstra has, and he's won in this moment. 2 totally different things. Miami, I have Miami losing in 6. It would not shock me if Miami pulls this thing out either.
I think it goes to 7, but I still got the Lake Show simply on experience.
I mean, Spo versus all y'all. It is what it is. I just think that
you preach that.
The thing is, why I had the Lakers in this series is because, man, if you watch LeBron James on Saturday night, what he did in game to close out the Nuggets, I'm going to give you LeBron James's opening and closing quote to Chris Haynes. I'm sorry, Kyle, when you're ready. we're going to end this beep right. We're going to end this beep tonight. As he's going on the court, he comes off the court and says, I told you, beep, this is over. LeBron called that series over in 5 games. As he walked on the court for game 5, this series was over. LeBron put on a performance, might be arguably one of his best elimination game performances in the history of his career. Now, to me, no elimination performance will ever beat the Detroit Pistons elimination game. Back, I want to say it was 2004, where he scored 25 straight points, including 25 of the last 29 to beat the Pistons. I don't think nothing was ever going to top that, but this was pretty darn close. Speaking of pretty darn close, let's transition into college football.
Now that is a transition. Well, excellent segue, Danny Thompson. Please continue.
Because it's been pretty close that LSU, see you later.
Boy.
And Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They said see you later themselves in the college football poll because guess what? LSU loses their opener. In most cases, in a season like this, where you don't know how many games you're going to play, every loss will kill you at this point. Right. LSU, as Chris Rock would say, grand opening, grand closing. Their season's been shot already because we don't know if this thing's going to finish. And Oklahoma goes down. So, Kyle, what is your impression in the weekend? And we'll get to UCF in a second.
Hey, listen, I'll lead off with this. Leave me alone with the Big 12. Why is Texas in the top 10? I'll leave it at that. No, Texas is not back. And by the way, while you're at it, don't try and tell me that Miami's top 10 either, for goodness sake. So you spanked FSU. You want a cookie? Anyways, listen, a lot of people did a lot of favors by losing so they wouldn't be able to hide in the safety of the upper echelons of the ranks. And I won't even talk about Penn State getting a top 10 berth without playing a bleeding game. Yeah, I'll give Ohio State a pass. They got some pedigree, and I have reason to believe they may actually be that good. Cool. Anyways, oh yeah, and by the way, North Carolina, on the strength of hiding from UCF, is also ranked 11th. I think not. Anyways, say what you will about what's going on in college football and the polling situation. It is only however many weeks in, but you're going to make me talk about it because this is a sports show, and I respect that. Listen, at the end of the day, man, you got to like what Florida did to actually establish themselves as one of the a playoff contender in this particular year. I kind of felt that way going into it, and you don't really get much of a chance to hear me say it because I cover UCF so regularly. I'm busy focusing on a quarterback that's trying to tell me that his team's the best in the state while opening the offensive drive with 4 straight false starts. Anyways, but I really like what Florida did overall. Notre Dame is still a waste of my time. Deal with it, Bobby. And I'm sorry I did that just to talk trash. But you know what is a waste of my time? The Pac-12. Why did you even bother coming out to play? You don't belong anywhere on this top 25. Anyway, so, yeah. Anyways, you mentioned it already with the big losses that took place. I mean, LSU, I get it. They had a whole bunch of – they lost their quarterback at Joe Burrow, and they had a whole bunch of COVID issues. And listen, Mississippi State's in the top 25. Don't worry, that won't last, folks. Give Cincinnati their credit, 2 out of the American. People told me, I got text from my buddies over the weekend that they weren't comfortable with Army in the top 25. I made sure that they sent a Christmas card to Cincinnati because that got taken care of over this past weekend as well. One final note, listen, I'm a Jim Harbaugh fan. I have no idea why Michigan is in the top 25 without having played a game yet. Anyways, Danny.
Speaking of UCF, as we just saw, Kyle, UCF had an interesting game on Saturday against ECU. We mentioned before, ECU is not one of those teams that is going to scare you, but it will cause some issues. Kyle, in about 90 seconds, what were your thoughts about UCF and their game against ECU? And then let's talk about what they have coming up this week.
You know, with the whole situation that they were actually on ABC for the second week in a row due to the COVID situation in Notre Dame's contest, that's a big deal for the program. And then what do on their first thing on offense? They come out and have 4 false starts after letting ECU basically go down the field against them on defense and score. I could already see the UCF fan base collectively losing their over a whole thing and causing panic. They call for the head of Randy Shannon. Oh my gosh, Coach Josh Heupel, such a terrible coach. Forget about the fact that he's lost entirely 4 games in his career in the past 2 years, one of them in a bowl game against Joe Bleeding Burrow. Anyways, so as it would turn out, The Knights struggled mightily as they won 51-28. Yes, folks, if you put money on the game for a 27-point cutter, I'm sorry you didn't get it. But hey, they had 10 penalties in the first quarter. What do you want me to tell you? Also, it's a note, look out for Jalen Robinson, the kid known as J-Flash as a freshman, over 150 yards receiving. That's kind of a big deal. And that's without Trey Nixon, the starting receiver as well, in the lineup. So it's not to say that they didn't have some handicap points, but they still put up a 50-burger at the end of the day. And that defense had another 4+ turnover performance. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. And I want to see that Miami UCF game. Unfortunately, they're too spineless to do it. Danny.
Well, speaking of spineless,
what about
I'm sorry, Bob. You can't blame Notre Dame for this one, okay? It was COVID.
I'm making jokes.
It was COVID. Listen, joining the ACC was spineless, okay? That's one thing. All right. Losing a game lost to COVID, not much we can do about that. Speaking of things we can't do much about, the Major League Baseball playoffs are starting.
That's great.
Pretty much. All right, so why am I mentioning this? Well, because baseball has 16 teams in the playoffs this year. Who would have guessed it?
There you go, Bobby. Thank you.
All right, so we have 16 teams in the playoffs. The Astros didn't make the playoffs, and the Buffalo, Toronto, Wings, Blue Jays, wherever you want to call them, are in the playoffs but can't host a game in Buffalo. Welcome to baseball, ladies and gentlemen. All right.
By the way, quick comment on the NHL. I would love if Detroit relocated to Buffalo so that they would be the Buffalo Wings. How great would that be?
Well, tell the Buffalo Sabres to actually play like something instead of getting barbecued every weekend, so we won't have the Buffalo Fried Wing Sabres.
Moving on.
Exactly. Speaking of the NHL Stanley Cup Finals is going on if you're actually paying attention to anything that's not about football and basketball. Hopefully the Tampa Bay Lightning will go ahead and clinch this thing and get this over with, because so that we get to the offseason so my Carolina Hurricanes can try to win the cup again. All right. Now we talked about baseball. Listen, okay, you know what? Let's break down baseball. The Dodgers had the best team in baseball once again in the National League. It will more likely collapse in the playoffs like they do every single year anyway. They have given the Dodgers every way possible to do this. All right, the Texas Rangers will be Arlington. The Texas Rangers will host the World Series, and the Rangers will be nowhere near it anyway. All right, you got NL teams playing in AL parks, AL teams playing in NL parks in the playoffs. What backwards foolishness is going on in baseball? And yes, the Miami Marlins made the playoffs, so you know baseball is bad when you have a team who had to relocate because their whole country didn't want them there in the first place, and you got the Miami Marlins, who started COVID-19 in baseball, making the playoffs.
I'm not touching that, Danny Thompson.
The Marlins had the first outbreak of the season.
Hey, you were wrong. I just said I'm not touching it. Based on your comment, I might get.
The Miami Marlins started baseball's COVID situation by going out in Atlanta, doing what they were not supposed to do, and basically caused a whole chain reaction when it came to COVID in the beginning of the baseball season that, let's be honest with you, almost endangered baseball for the entire season.
What they do? Order some lemon pepper wings?
They were out in the city of Atlanta, of all places.
So maybe they did. Moving on.
Okay, if the Marlins would have followed the guidelines and half their team would not have had the unfortunate situation of catching COVID, it wouldn't have delayed a whole bunch of games. It would have delayed other series and everything else in between. Remember, the Marlins played the Phillies. What happened? The Phillies weren't no part of it. The Yankees weren't traveling down to Philadelphia when players contracted COVID. And guess what? It just so happens right after Miami, the St. Louis Cardinals had the same issue with guys leaving their situation to go out to do whatever, and they came back with COVID. Okay, so let's be honest. The Miami Marlins got it together, and the worst part of baseball is that not every team is going to play the same number of games. So, in the most interesting of baseball seasons, we'll just
not the same number of games. I thought we finished talking about college, Danny Thompson. Moving on.
We're talking about professionals. College is one thing. These are grown adults that play and get paid for it. Speaking of grown adults that get paid for things, let's talk about the NFL.
No, I'm not laughing at what you think I'm laughing at. I actually like that segue a lot. Hey,
I wish I could.
Listen, man, I know what you're going to do, and I'm going to stop you before you do it. Listen, I know you're going to come after me, okay? I keep preaching about the NFC West being the best division in football, and a lot of good things happen. Listen, the Rams damn near beat the team that's getting crowned where some bunch of morons want to try to tell me Josh Allen's the MVP, where they can stop it right now, okay? Carrington, moving on. Speaking of Carrington, he took care of his business as well. The Niners with their C squad comes out, crushes the New York Giants. By the way, if you're doing power rankings, they better be number 32. That's all I'm saying. But you're going to come at me with the Cardinals on a last-minute kick by UCF's Matt Prater losing to the Lions. Listen, I get it. Okay, fine. But let's not forget, okay, the Saints lost to the Raiders on penalty. I mean, I would have a lot more evidence if there was a team that blew a really big lead 2 consecutive weeks. Then I would really have legs to stand on to talk about how your NFC South's overrated as hell. Danny Thompson?
So, this week in the NFL, we've seen a lot in the NFL. We saw Russell Wilson go off against the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I think he's still throwing touchdown passes as we speak.
But I think man, they covered 30. The Cowboys getting more than 30 points 2 consecutive weeks I never would have expected that. I have to be honest. Oh no,
I'm not taking away nothing from the Cowboys offense. The Cowboys defense just is still allowing Russell Wilson to throw touchdown passes. That's all I'm saying. All right. I mean, we do have one game going on, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Baltimore Ravens. It's 20-10 Chiefs. Midway through a 2-minute warning at M&T Stadium, and guess what? The Chiefs are driving. Listen, I called 10 point. I called the Chiefs by 10 last week. I called it.
We both did.
We both did. All right, so let's get into the NFL before I get depressed. All right, so listen, we had some great matchups this weekend. Let's start out with the game that the highlight matchup of the weekend. Everybody was waiting to see this game. No, it's not Washington. It's not Washington and Cleveland, so we're not going to go and start there first. But we will start, like I said, with the most entertaining game yesterday. The Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. Listen, they played an entertaining game out in Seattle yesterday, 38-31 Dallas, falling short to Seattle. You mentioned Russell Carrington Wilson. Listen, what more can Russell Wilson not do? What can he not do? Kyle, I mean, 5 more touchdown passes. He's got 14 through 3 weeks. I mean, Kyle is
MVP vote throughout his career because a bunch of people out there are haters that don't know anything about football. That could happen.
I mean, it's been literally Russell Wilson destroying defenses the first 3 weeks of the season. First, it was Atlanta. Then he chopped through New England's top. New England's got one of the better defenses in the league. Now he chopped through Dallas this weekend. It's just been Wilson on like a revenge tour. You act like Russell. You would think Russell Wilson's upset. And as soon as we're talking about quarterbacks and being upset, you just mentioned Patrick Mahomes just threw a touchdown pass to Marshawn Hardeman, 49 yards. Yes, Bernie Martin Humphreys in coverage, 27-10 Chiefs with 1:48 to go in the second quarter.
That's
I guess Patrick Mahomes is saying, listen, hold my beer in this situation. So Kyle, we talked about the NFC West. You talked about the West being the strongest division of football all season. The Seahawks are undefeated. Your 49ers, even though they survived the New York swing, back-to-back weeks in New York, they survived the New York swing. They're now 2-1. Arizona lost on the last-second field goal. And to be honest with you, the Buffalo Bills almost blew a lead again. Almost blew a lead to the LA Rams, who are now 2-1. Listen, the entire division is 2-1 or undefeated. Maybe Kyle through 3 weeks.
I mean, listen, bro. I tried to tell you in the preseason we're going to have 3 playoff teams from there, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, I mean,
Danny Thompson.
Listen, you got. I mean, Detroit won yesterday, and now mind you, Detroit was 0-2. But remember, Detroit got one key asset back yesterday, and that was Kenny Golladay. The numbers might not have shown yesterday, but Golladay got in the end zone, and he is Matt Stafford's best target. Speaking of targets and target practice, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers yesterday. They played target practice all over the Denver Broncos yesterday, 28-10. But Kyle, best stat line of the day. Mike Evans, 2 catches, 2 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Red zone threat? Listen, that's how stacked this group is, though. Mike Evans doesn't have to do all the hard work. And for the morons out there that want to try to tell me that Leonard Fournette was a bust, you're learning otherwise, folks. Okay? Just trying to tell you.
Listen, Leonard Fournette didn't have to carry the ball much. Ronald Jones did the heavy lifting. He had 53 yards on the ground. The Bucs really didn't need it. They got it ahead. Tom Brady threw for about 297 yesterday. But we all knew the Broncos were going to get blown out without Von Miller. I didn't see Philip Lindsay even touch the field. Drew Lock was starting. Jeff Driscoll started and was replaced by somebody named Rippon.
The Boise State quarterback. Mark Rippon's nephew, I believe. I forget his first name.
I thought it was Mark Rippon. Rippon.
I actually watched him play in the Shrine game this past season. This past January.
So like I said, we mentioned, Tampa's now 2-1. They now will go ahead and they have a game next week. We'll get to next week's schedule for them in a second.
We would be horrible analysts if we didn't give a butt ton of credit to that Tampa Bay defense. Listen, no one talks about Wnba. I can't even say the guy's name right. It's too many. Thank you, sir. Doing a great job just from the defensive tackle position. This group is attacking and destroying people. Yeah, I know it's just Driscoll, but listen, this is what happens when you hand them the fresh meat. At the end of the day, corners, cornerbacks, linebackers, back that whatever up. Listen, this defense will make you back up. I'm running out of silly things to say about how good this defense is while I stall to let you finish chewing your food.
Well, listen. I mean, you got to be able to enjoy life somehow after yesterday, but still.
Hey, here's how I'll do it, Danny Thompson. Danny's not the only one eating that. Bucs defense got some prime chewing in as well. Danny?
Speaking of defensive outputs, the best defensive output yesterday came from the Indianapolis Colts yesterday. Yes, the Indianapolis Colts defense outscored the New York Jets yesterday. Listen, two defensive touchdowns and Phillip Rivers throwing for 217 yards. The Colts defeat the Jets 36-7. Kyle, is it time for Adam Gase to go bye-bye in New York?
I really think it is, man. Listen, when Jamal Adams parted and went to Seattle, big part of their success, by the way, currently, and he said what he said about that locker room. I'm a guy who had always said about Gase, it's not that bad, y'all. And then Adam said what he said. I'm like, it's that bad, y'all. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Speaking of defensive performances, like I mentioned earlier, San Francisco 49ers 36-9 over the New York Giants yesterday. You know it's bad when the Giants' leading rusher and the game's leading rusher was Daniel Jones with 49. All we have to say is the 49ers survived. And Kyle, the good news is Deebo Samuel is starting to run for the 49ers. Hopefully they'll have him back by week 5, but due to injuries, he could be back sooner. How is it important to know that Deebo Samuel will probably be off the IR list sooner than later?
I mean, listen, when you have as many weapons as you can for young Shanahan Kyle to do his thing, that's always a big piece of information. But listen, you have Brandon Ayuk scoring a touchdown off a reverse. I love having Samuel back. I don't know if he needs him necessarily. I'm joking. But, no, obviously it's great to get that weapon back. On top of having the best fullback in the business, doing the running game is already sound as it is. It'd be nice to be able to put it in the air, and Mullins did a good enough job. I mean, give this team credit. Yeah, I know it's just the Giants, but it's your B squad. And when your B squad can handle a team by 27 points, you should be excited about that.
Speaking about being excited, listen, the New England Patriots have a lot, and their fans had to be excited about yesterday. 36-20 over the Las Vegas Raiders. Listen, Cam Newton is Cam Newton, but guess what? Somebody on this show says Sony Michel was going to have a big game.
Yes, they did. Those smart mother beep.
Like Adam Cole would say in NXT, boom, All right, Sony Michel has 2 longest carries in multiple years. He had 9 carries for 117 yards. Did get in the end zone because Rex Burkhead. Yes, if you play fantasy football yesterday and you pick Rex Burkhead, you probably won money yesterday. Scored 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, he had the game of his life yesterday, and give him credit too. Not to mention the Patriots achieved a safety. How often do you hear about that, Danny Thompson?
Well, I mean, how often do you hear about a lot of things in the NFL the first weeks of the season? But we'll get to that in a minute. Listen, the Patriots did so many different things on offense yesterday. Cam Newton, listen, Newton is getting more comfortable. He's having fun. I said this before, Cam Newton's dangerous. Give a lot of credit to the Las Vegas Raiders yesterday. There was no Henry Ruggs on the outside, so you really can't test the ball down the field. Derek Carr did throw for 260 yards, but give the Patriots defense a lot of credit for shutting down Josh Jacobs yesterday.
Actually, I correct one thing, Danny Thompson. I said a safety under review. That was actually counted as a touchdown. I forgot. Really? That's the turning point in the game, folks. I mean, for the Raider fans that do listen, that game isn't as lopsided as it looked, but at the end of the day, the Patriots didn't cheat this time. So you got nothing to complain about. Moving on.
Speaking of nothing to complain about, and from Cam Newton's his new team to his old team, the Carolina Panthers finally got their first win of the season, going up to Los Angeles to take care of the LA Superchargers. Well, I'm sorry, the Chargeless Chargers, 21-16 out in Los Angeles. Listen, Justin Herbert threw for his second 300-yard game in multiple weeks. He had a touchdown, but give Carolina a lot of credit. Without having Rex McCaffrey.
That's funny.
Rex McCaffrey. All right. I can't with you, Rodney. Listen, Carolina did a good job yesterday. With not having Christian McCaffrey, Teddy Bridgewater does what Teddy Bridgewater does. He manages the game very well. Didn't make mistakes. Carolina's defense survived at the end of the game, and you don't have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. You just let Mike Davis catch the ball out in the flats. And on top of that, they have some good receivers, some solid performances. But Kyle, through 3 weeks, Justin Herbert, man, another 300-yard day. And guess what? Keenan Allen came out the lost and found.
I mean, listen, was he ever really that gone? I would ask. You know, it's a situation where the only thing that broke this game basically was one quarterback was experienced and the other wasn't. And I'm taking nothing away from Herbert. He looks great. He's not – listen, he's going to battle Joe Burrow for that Rookie of the Year. I don't think he's going to get it because he came in later, and Joe Burrow's been doing it from week 1. But you got to love what he did, man. Great performance.
And as you speak about Joe Burrow, in the game of the week that featured the only matchup of a tie.
You know what, Teddy? So much hate. It's his own team.
Yeah.
Credit.
In a game that both teams deserved to lose, the Cincinnati Bengals and Philadelphia Eagles actually tied yesterday at 23.
I told you the Eagles were going to mess it up. Granted, not as bad as I thought, but I told you.
Listen, tying is about as bad as losing, okay? They both should get credit for a loss because you played 70 minutes and you can't figure out a winner.
No, and I've almost written an article about this, Danny Thompson, but I didn't. But I'll go ahead and take my soapbox real quick about this. Y'all people need to stop complaining about ties, ladies and gentlemen, okay? All that tells you is that both teams didn't do enough work and neither deserved to come away with a win. You earn wins in the National Football League.
Then you both deserve to lose.
Yeah, I guess we're kind of saying the same thing, but at the end of the day, you know, if neither of you failed to win, it's almost more humiliating to lose in a close, good game. Or it's more humiliating to tie than lose in a close, good game.
Yes. Once again, they should have both teams should have just lost. Okay. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing I have an issue with this. Okay. All right. You got about maybe 2 minutes left in overtime. And it's 4th and 12 with 18 seconds left in the game, Kyle. 18 seconds left in the game. 4th and 12 from the Cincinnati 46-yard line, Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Doug Peterson decides not to try to kick a 64-yard game-winning field goal. He elects to punt.
In
overtime.
Can I tell you why I think he did that?
Go ahead, Kyle.
Because I know you're going to call that it's this awful call. Oh, my God, it's got no bounds. Listen, here's the thing. When you have a mass unit there on the field remaining as your only hope to even field the team, whether they'll play well, okay, you got to do what you can to keep morale high. And I think a third straight loss would have killed morale. What happened with Doug Peterson was a big picture decision. It's a 64-yard field goal. I have no reason to believe that this guy will boot it. But I do believe one of two things will happen for Cincy if they get the ball back. They'll make the field goal, or Joe Burrow has enough arm to throw the Hail Mary. Either one of those could have happened. Screw that. I'm not even risking my team walking out with another loss. They need something other than a loss, some sort of speck, infinitesimal inkling of hope to hang their hat upon going into next week, facing off against the defending NFC champion 49ers. I think that was a long-term play. I think he did it to keep his guys' heads up. He knew he was going to get crucified by people like you who don't think big picture. And no offense, Danny Thompson, that's not your job. That's not my job. I don't even think I'm necessarily right here. I'm just telling you what he might have done. But I think that's what he was doing.
Well, speaking of jobs, Carson Wentz's job is in danger, and guess what? In danger even more. Carson Wentz threw 2 more interceptions, threw 47 times, and finally his quarterback rating jumped above 70 yesterday. But Wentz is statistically the first weeks of the season, statistically the worst quarterback in the NFL through 3 weeks. The Eagles are struggling. And guess what, Kyle? You mentioned that now you have San Francisco next week on your schedule, and there's no Dallas Goedert to be going with it because Goedert went out with an injury early in this game today. If the Eagles weren't already hurt enough as it is, the one thing the Eagles have strength is their tight ends. Now one of your pass-catching guys is out. Good news for Eagles fans. Miles Sanders came back 18 carries, 95 yards on the ground. Hopefully, they can do something with the ground game. Joe Burrow, 31 of 44, 312 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 no interceptions. Tyler Boyd, 10 catches for 125 yards, and T. Higgins from Clemson, 5 catches, 40 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this game. In the game, he also had one that should have been. He was also called back as well too. And I think he had a drop as well too. Eagles. And now here's a problem I hate with ties, because Kyle, when the season gets close to the end and you got these tiebreaker situations, you got a dumb tie is holding a team in the playoffs or holding them out of the playoffs. At this point, they should just basically kick field goals until who misses it first.
A penalty kick,
Yes, penalty kick style. Okay, knowing the Bengals, they would have missed it anyway, but yet and still, at least give the Bengals a fighting chance to kick field goals to win a football game. We gotta get this overtime. We gotta get this overtime out the way. Like, this is ridiculous.
I don't agree. I think ties are a good thing. I think ties need to exist. And hey, it ain't like you're worried about playoff standing with either of these two teams. Am I right? Moving on.
Speaking of teams and playoff standings right now, Washington and Cleveland played an interesting football game out yesterday, and the Cleveland Browns took care of business 34-20 over the Washington whatchamacallits.
Red tail.
There's still the whatchamacallits, okay? There's no red tails. Their helmet has a W.
Right. Oh, no, you thought I meant the game. No, that didn't happen.
Well, good news for Cleveland fans. 34-20, and Kyle, we talked about this on Thursday. If you run the football, you will win. And guess what the Cleveland Browns did? They ran it down the throat of the Washington whatchamacallits. All right, they ran it down their throat repeatedly, and guess what? Repeatedly some more. Nick Chubb hit over.
Yeah, best running back in the NFL is the Cleveland Browns. I'll give them that much credit.
Nick Chubb, 108 yards on the ground, and Kareem Hunt had 46 yards. But the real thing was they ran the ball 37 times as a team, and Baker Mayfield, Kyle, only threw 23 times. The one good thing about Baker Mayfield was he was 16 of 23, only 2 touchdowns, but no interceptions.
Huge deal. Listen, Danny Thompson, I want you to make sure you coerce and promptly do research to check their record when Baker throws 25 times or less.
I'll have to look that up. Or if we got Bobby in the back looking the statistician that wonderful statistician is, he'll probably look that up as well too. Speaking of
this year, not right now. At the end of this year for 2020, I want to see how many games he put for 25 and how many of them are W's.
Speaking of Bobby Blackjack of the studio, his Pittsburgh Steelers went at home at Heinz Ketchup Stadium and basically sauteed, fricasseed, and also put down the Houston Texans to 0-3, 28-21, staying perfect on the season at home. Listen, James Conner's healthy. Ben Roethlisberger looks solid. Listen, this Pittsburgh Steelers team is really, really good right now. Roethlisberger, 23 of 36, 2 touchdown passes.
Don't you stop at that offense, though. That defensive front is something ridiculous. TJ Watt at linebacker on pace currently at a higher sack rate than his brother JJ. Listen, I'm not developing a man crush on him like I am JJ. He didn't snag an interception at the line and take it to the house in a playoff game yet. But, man, those guys are tough up front, and there's a reason why Deshaun Watson struggled in that game. Danny?
You know, Watson did throw 2 touchdowns and interception. He was sacked 5 times, and the Texans couldn't run the ball. They ran the ball 15 times at a team for a grand total of 29 yards, a.k.a. David Johnson did next to nothing.
Yeah. It's not
Steelers have
that Steeler front, baby.
Listen, talk about fronts and defenses and everything else in between. Kyle will have too many other games to talk about here because, well, let's look at the schedule. Blah, 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 blah. You know what? Let's go to the game on Sunday night. That game was high-powered, entertaining, and guess what? 2 of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL going at it on national television to end your NFL Sunday. The Green Bay Packers defeat the New Orleans Saints 37-30. The Packers are still undefeated. Aaron Charles Rodgers does it again.
Ooh.
Kyle, are the Packers, mind you, and no Devontae Adams last night either.
Right.
Are the Packers for real at this point?
You have to say yes at this juncture, right? I mean, the defense isn't great, but they're playing the kind of defense that the Indianapolis Colts found success on in the Peyton Manning years, right? And eventually won a Super Bowl off of and got some more, right? I find it ironic that they beat the Saints, as I mentioned, Peyton Manning in a Super Bowl, but I digress. Listen, but the punchline is this one, man. At the end of the day, you've got to take these Packers serious because in that division, you got the Bears who are sneaking by and gaining wins out of pure luck and ridiculousness. And then you have the Lions. Okay, there's the Lions. And the Vikings continue to disappoint. There's no way they shouldn't have won a game. And now I got to listen to Cortland because of it. Not only am I angry at the Vikings, actually, yeah, I'm just angry at the Vikings, period.
Well, speaking of the Minnesota Vikings, you just mentioned why they're angry because guess what? The Vikings went to Tennessee, and Tennessee went to their home stadium, and guess what? The Tennessee Titans are still the Tennessee Titans. The Titans are undefeated, defeating the Minnesota Vikings, but give the Vikings a lot of credit. Kirk Cousins actually played a real football game on Sunday, 31-30 at home. Listen, Kyle, we talk about teams being for real. The Titans last year got to the AFC Championship game because of what it is, and what we've seen the first few weeks hasn't really been Derrick Henry. It's been a lot more of Ryan, Jack, and Joe went up the Tanny Hill.
I like that. Listen, a balanced offense is always good when you can find it, and damn it, the Titans have it. They improved themselves slightly on defense, acquiring Cat Clowney, and you've heard me say it in our three-point conversion chat. Man, listen, I'm taking these Titans more seriously than I've taken other permutations of the Tennessee Titans, dating all the way back to Steve McNair.
The one thing about the Titans is that we haven't seen the Titans at full form because A.J. Brown hasn't even played yet.
That's an excellent point.
And listen, and Derrick Henry hasn't even hit his full December running over you in the cold weather form either.
That's going to be a fun time, right? And by the way, I believe coming up sooner than later, their schedule only gets easier.
Well, I mean, in the NFL, schedules do get easier, things change. And speaking of things changing, some things change and some things stay exactly the same. Well, what stays the same? Here we go. So what stayed the same in the NFL this week? The Atlanta Falcons had a fourth quarter lead. What didn't change was the fact that they blew a fourth quarter lead. For the first time in the history of the NFL, the Atlanta Falcons not only just blew a double-digit lead, but in consecutive weeks blowing two double-digit leads of over 15 points in consecutive weeks. The Atlanta Falcons were up 26-10 with 7 minutes to go in the game yesterday and proceeded to fall at home to the Chicago Bears 30-26.
Hey, Danny, has anybody ever done that before?
The Falcons are setting new records every week, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So, not only did the Falcons lose this game, the Bears changed quarterbacks in the middle of the game, and now Nick Foles has another thing to notch up his belt because Foles threw 3 fourth-quarter touchdown passes to lead the Bears to victory. The Bears are undefeated, and Kyle, in the process of this, there's a quarterbacking change. Foles has now been named the indefinite starter going forward, even though Mitch Trubisky was undefeated going into the game. All right, Kyle.
Bears fan that tries to tell me at this point that Matt Nagy was the problem last year, I will collect your football fan card. You've been an idiot while you were criticizing Matt Nagy. You are continuing to be an idiot if you do so. If you still think he was the problem last year. You're wrong. Matt Nagy's a brilliant coach. He turned whatever into gold when it came to Mitch Trubisky, and then everybody else got tape. Okay? It's that simple. I actually met Trubisky on the Pro Bowl field. He had no business being a Pro Bowler, in my opinion, but it happened that way. Why? Matt Nagy. Give that man a gold star. You're not going to be able to give him a Coach of the Year because there's no way the Bears are good enough. The Bears should not be 3-0, and the Bears know it. And I'll give them this credit. One thing that may keep them to be competitive as they continue to play Danny Thompson is knowing they don't belong 3-0, having something to prove.
Why are the Bears 3-0? Let's be honest with you. The Bears, and like I said, Nick Foles threw 3 touchdown passes in a 5-minute span in the fourth quarter. All right, so what to do now? Since we know teams are now 0-3 in the season, Kyle, let's play a game. Let's play one of our favorite board games called Operation, Kyle, because some of these teams right now are hemorrhaging in their playoff hopes right now, Kyle. You have a whole bunch of teams in the NFL. We have a few teams in the NFL 0-3. So Kyle and I are going to basically play Operation and play Fix This Team. All right, Kyle, we're going to leave Atlanta to the very end.
By the way, I have as much preparation for this segment as I do Mount Rushmore. Moving on.
Kyle, let's talk about the teams that are 0-3 because guess what? We've seen enough football from the first few weeks of the season to kind of get a gauge on what really is going on with some of these teams. And Kyle, let's start with the 0-3 Houston Texans. How do you fix the 0-3 Houston Texans at this point?
I don't think there's something that you try to fix. Listen, the Texans' answer was gonna have to be, take the phone booth from Rufus and Bill and Ted and go back 2 seasons and win a whole bunch of games straight after a tough start. Give me a break. The Ravens, the Chiefs on opening week, and then the Steelers. That is the toughest first 3 weeks in this season. Period. No question about it. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on the Texans yet. They've got an awful schedule. It is what it is. The Titans are certainly coming up twice, too. I'm not prepared to panic yet. I know how you feel about Bill O'Brien and all that, but I can't put that schedule on him.
The one issue the Texans have right now, how to fix it is finding a way to actually get some holes. You trade for Laremy Tunsil. His job is to make holes and also protect the quarterback. Now, mind you mentioned before that the Pittsburgh Steelers have one of the better defenses in the league and allowed 5 sacks and got to Watson 5 times on Sunday. You got to protect him, but most importantly, what looked good in week 1 was letting David Johnson start finding holes. They've got to be able to control the clock because the issue with the Texans is we thought the offensive situation is bad. This team has allowed 95 points in 3 weeks, one of the worst point differentials in the NFL through 3 games. They've allowed 95 points, Kyle. They're a minus 38 right now, point differential. Listen, you have a tired defense because the offense can't stay on the field long enough.
Correct.
If you can start controlling the clock, that allows your boy J.J. Watt and company to actually get some rest before teams continue to tee off on them. You mentioned the fact of the early schedule. Let's look at the quarterbacks they've gone against the first weeks of the season. It's hard to prepare for those 3 types of quarterbacks because it's 3 different ones. You go from Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson and then Ben Roethlisberger. None of them are the same.
Not even a little bit.
It's not even close. You can't. There's nothing on your scout. Even with Deshaun Watson, there's nothing on your scout squad that can get you prepared for those 3 guys. I don't think it's much to fix, but like you said, the AFC South is the AFC South. You still got 2 games against Gardner Minshew. You got 2 games against Phillip Rivers, and then guess what? You still have a chance to even beat the Tennessee Titans. It's not out of the woods just yet. It's dangerous, but Bill O'Brien's got to learn how to run the football. And 2. You got speed at wide receiver. You got Will Fuller. You got Brandon Cooks. You've got to figure out how to get these guys in space. Okay, Kenny Stills is a possession receiver. Get these guys in space. Let Will Fuller go over the top. Let Brandon Cooks run drag and slant routes. Get these guys open. Get Daniel Fells the ball. Is Jordan Aikens still there? I remember from UCF. Get him the ball. He's a big target.
He caught a touchdown opening night.
David Johnson catch the ball. Duke Johnson can catch the ball. Let Deshaun Watson, at this point, let Deshaun Watson call his own plays. It can't get any worse at this point. That's how you fix the Titans at this point. The Texans at this point.
I definitely agree with the offensive line makeup, too. Something we didn't mention. The guard position's been pretty rough throughout the season so far. I mean, Chris Jones went to work in opening week. That's a good call out.
All right, Kyle, 0-3 New York Jets. How to fix them? I think I'll go first with Houston this time around. How do you fix New York Jets? Well, you hope that you get clever for Trevor. You figure out what to do with Sam Darnold, and then you start over with a new head coach. I don't know if you can fix this team right now. They're a walking mass shooting offense with a team that's already offensively devoid of talent. You talk about teams that have been bad. The Jets have scored 37 points in 3 games. Adam Gase is an offensive mind, an offensive genius. But how can you be an offensive mind, offensive genius when you not allow Le'Veon Bell to do anything? Now he's been hurt, and now you're using Frank Gore at running back. Yes, 912-year-old Frank Gore is your starting running back. Kyle, I think you white flag this one. How do you fix the Jets at this point?
Listen, buddy. First of all, I enjoy that you put some respect on that name when it comes to Frank the Tank, the inconvenient truth Gore. Okay, let me be clear about that. Thank you for it. But,
Hall of Fame running back Frank Gore, by the way.
Thank you, sir. That's how you do it. By the way, does a first ballot Hall of Famer miss a long ball for a chance to win the game late, or does he end the game with an interception? I'm just asking. No particular reason. Anyways. So, yeah,
we are not about to do this on Barack Obama's internet site. But continue.
See, no, Rodney, that is short-sighted. Y'all keep forgetting. 2 years ago, this is the same Bill O'Brien that took them 8 straight victories to get into the playoffs. Stop it, okay? Stop listening to you. Friends don't let friends watch too much ESPN, okay? Get your keys, Rodney. You're drunk. Anyways, apparently I have to watch ESPN now, which means a whole bunch of people watching these 2 teams on Monday Night Football. Drunk as hell. No, I got him on that one. Seriously though, when it comes to the Jets, there's so much work. When it comes to the Texans, there's less work. Burn it with fire. You're right on there too. And by the way, as you get happy to get covered with Trevor, you better find some beef. Listen, vegetarians from the West Coast, okay? And only Russell Wilson tends to be able to live in that situation. Find some beef to protect poor Sam Darnold. Good God.
Cincinnati Bengals not 0-3. They're 0-2-1. Kyle, how do you fix them?
You keep building. Good God. You have Joe Burrow setting the foundation and fantastic. He's one crucial mistake away from beating the Chargers and looked pretty good last week. Okay? I'm got some protection. Get that defense back to what it used to be. And you have an AFC playoff competitor. Part of the problem is also the division. One thing that the Bengals can do is make sure they can do whatever they can out on the market to keep the Steelers from rebuilding.
You don't fix anything. Let's look at the Bengals start of the season. Week 1, they had a chance to get to the game in overtime. They missed a field goal because their kicker got hurt on a field goal. Week 2, short week. It happens. Those games happen, especially in the division. Sunday, they were up in the fourth quarter. Carson Wentz gets a game-winning touchdown. You tie. They're actually on pace to do something well. Now, can Joe Burrow actually find A.J. Green? That might help some things. The Bengals only are a -8 in the point differential department. So guess what? They play close games. So it's not like they've been blown out. You can't fix anything. This is supposed to be a rebuilding project anyway.
A certain young man who I believe had, I believe it was 7 games within the score his rookie year before he won the Rookie of the Year award, and then came back later to be an MVP and Super Bowl combatant, and is now leading a competing team now under center. Do you know who I referred to?
No, sir. Who are you referring to?
Cameron Newton. I forget his middle name, even though I looked it up last week.
Cameron Jarrell Newton. Yes, sir. Cam Newton, yes.
Jarrell Newton. I'm trying to tell you that Joe Burrow has to do like he did. Struggle a lot on the scoreboard, but so look good doing it in his rookie year.
All right, let's go. Let's stay with the final team in the AFC right now that is over for the season. Let's talk about the Denver Broncos and how to fix them. And Kyle, I'll take the lead on this one. Listen, the Broncos just need to get their quarterback back. They just need to get Drew Lock back. It's real simple. Get Drew Lock back, and I think everything changes. When you're starting Jeff Driscoll, you're finding Mark Rippon's nephew. You're playing Mark Rippon. John Elway's not walking through the door, and neither is Gary Kubiak playing quarterback. All right, this isn't happening. All right, Tim Tebow isn't coming back either. All right, when Drew Lock gets back in the lineup, I think everything changes. The Broncos are still talented, and when Drew Lock is on the field completing passes, getting guys involved, I think everything all right. It's really nothing to fix. It's just getting their starting quarterback back. Kyle, what are your thoughts?
I have to disagree with you a little bit here, buddy. You mentioned John Elway walking through the door. I watched his butt going out of it. Okay, listen, he was on borrowed time and stood for making Peyton Manning happy. Cool. Then you did the Brock Osweiler thing. People forgot about it because you made Peyton Manning happen. Cool. Drew Lock was not the answer, nor will he ever be. That is not a quarterback that is going to handle business in that division. By the way, you have Patrick Mahomes, and Herbert is looking bleeding amazing. By the way, the Raiders don't suck either. They're on their way to being the second best division in the NFL, and the reason why they aren't is you, John Elway. Get out, okay? I don't want to hear about Drew Lock. He's not the answer. Von Miller, he can't stay healthy anymore. Use him to get more draft picks. Take one out of Brian Flores' book and get some picks. Rebuild this team. You are the problem when it comes to the AFC West, Denver Broncos. I'm sorry.
Well, speaking of things that make you cough, the New York Football Giants have made. No, the New York Giants have made people cough all season long. The Giants are 0-3, Kyle. So I'll let you lead this one off because they've been bad. How do you fix the 0-3 Giants?
I mean, listen, I've said it for this group for years, ever since they won that second Super Bowl against the Patriots. Your offensive line's retiring, replace them. They still have it. Barkley's hurt. That's no accident. Daniel Jones, that's no accident. He's not only down, he has basically zero protection. The defense is the defense out there. I can't judge them because they're always struggling based on the possession situation. I mean, after all, how can I fault the Giants when the Packers looked as bad as they did against the Niner run game? Am I right? So at the end of the day, you know, I'm not prepared to tee off on the coaching there or anything like that. Although I think they're still regretting shipping off Tom Coughlin, I digress. Yeah, they really – this year's one where I think they're not going to get clever for Trevor, but be prepared. If they get that first-round pick, they're going to have a hell of an opportunity to make some trades.
I mean, listen, young quarterback needs beef. Offensive line, not very good. Saquon Barkley, happy trail, sir. Devontae Freeman is a stopgap. Listen, how do you fix the Giants? Here's the thing: you're only a game out of first place in the division. For as bad as you've been, you're only one game behind the whatchamacallits and the Cowboys for first place in the division.
Ain't that a beast, though?
That's just the foolish part about it. Listen, Saquon Barkley's not coming back. The Giants' passing game is now everybody's got to focus on it because the Giants can't run the football very well. Defense is going to be on the field a lot, so guess what? It is what it is. You can't fix the Giants. Their star player is gone. The one reason why the teams fear the Giants is no longer on the field. So Devontae Freeman, unless he refers to his Super Bowl year in Atlanta where he was a Pro Bowler, it's not going to be much in New York. I don't think it's much to fix. No Saquon Barkley.
Do that. It still won't be enough, man. He didn't catch the ball like Saquon.
I'm just saying, even if he reverts to his form, that it's not going to save the Giants very much. Mm-hmm. All right, Kyle, the Philadelphia Eagles at 0-2-1. I guess it's my turn, so I'll lead this one. Okay, how do you fix it? It's called changing your name to the Philadelphia Paramedics because that's what you need to fix this entire team right now. Why is Carson Wentz not successful? Because Carson Wentz is running for his life. Mm-hmm. Now, Carson Wentz has regressed, but Carson Wentz has probably been beaten to regression because of the fact that the Eagles can't protect him. On top of that, the Eagles have spent too much money on trying to keep injured players on this roster. If you think last week without Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, your leading receiver, it's a problem. Greg Ward led this team in catches. Can you even name half the guys in the Eagles receiving core other than the two tight ends? No. You can't. The other part is when you don't have enough health on defense and your offense, guess what? Where is that defense that's actually pretty darn talented? Now, mind you, the Eagles have been one of the better teams in the NFL defensively the last few years, but here's the problem. They've been getting torched all year. They gave up 37 to the Rams. Hell, they gave up 300-plus yards to Joe Burrow last week. And do we have to mention what happened in week 1 as well, too? Eagles have given up 87 points in 3 games. They've given up more points. The only team that's given up more points than the Philadelphia Eagles in the division is the Dallas Cowboys, who've given them almost 100 points in this division.
I know.
The only difference is the Cowboys are 1-2 and the Eagles are 0-2-1. How do you fix the Eagles situation? It's not putting in Jalen Hurts. That's for sure. If you are clamoring for Jalen Hurts to start the game in the NFL, you're going to get this kid killed. Yeah. Yes, Jalen Hurts can run, but he'll be running for his life. Here's the thing. If you want Jalen Hurts in the starting lineup, Kyle, here's how you do it. You treat Jalen Hurts the same way Arizona treated Kyler Murray. You go get him an all-pro wide receiver. You already got Miles Sanders in the backfield. You get him some offensive line protection, and guess what? Voila. Everything gets better. Oh, you could do that.
They could do all that and keep Zach Ertz? Woo.
All right, Kyle. 2 more teams left on the agenda. I'll let you. You know what? I'll go first on this one. The Minnesota Vikings. All right. How do you fix the Minnesota Vikings? Real simple. Stop letting Kirk Cousins throw the damn football. Kyle, I'm done. Go.
Honestly, that's what I would have said too. But I have to cite this. Listen, Adam Thielen suddenly is the main threat. Ain't so threatening, right? They need to find some way. They're not going to find Stephon Diggs, but damn it, give him somebody's Juju Smith future type that could be a number 2.
Justin Jefferson did look good in his debut because that 70-yard touchdown, 70-yard catch. He's finally getting healthy. Other problem is, Kyle, for a defense that's supposed to be really good, they've allowed 102 points in their first 3 games of the season.
What happened to the damn defense? Xavier Rhodes, what team now? What the hell's going on here? How did that happen? There's too many losses on the defense as well. And Anthony Barr is even hurt on top of that. Listen, they've lost too many pieces. I was okay with. I understand why they got rid of Diggs when they did, but when I started to see, look at it closer and see how many defensive pieces they lost as well, I got a little worried for them because at the end of the day, the way they recover from Kirk Cousins when he acts all company is by playing great defense. It ain't great no more. Simply put.
Speaking of playing defense, last team that we're going to talk about signing the only 3 categories, the Atlanta Falcons. Kyle, I'm going to let you lead off because I'm not going to say much more about it until you finish. Kyle, how do you fix the Falcons?
Trade Matt Ryan to get draft picks. No, I'm kidding. Relax, Danny Thompson.
It's your thought process.
I don't know why you're handing me this ball. The answer is simple. Don't do stupid stuff like get Todd Gurley and shore up your goddamn defense. Next question.
It's real simple. Kyle, yesterday was a complete equivalency of the Atlanta Falcons' ineptitude to do things correctly. The Falcons went out and signed Todd Gurley, who has more rushing touchdowns over the last 3 seasons than any player in the NFL. You brought him in to basically run the ball at the end of games. Todd Gurley had 80 yards on the ground yesterday, Kyle, but here's the one issue with the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons like to falcon, okay? Everybody knows Atlanta can't play defense, so guess what? That should have been a problem in the first place. How do you fix the Falcons? Here we go. Without even me getting on the head coach, which I'll get onto in about 35, 40 seconds, is, Kyle, when Atlanta was up 26-10, they had 3 possessions where, Kyle, they went 3 and out in all 3 of those possessions. They threw the ball 6 times, up by 16 points. One series landed, I think it was 17 seconds taken off the clock. The Falcons had about the ball 2 minutes for 3 series, which allowed the Bears to score on repeated possessions, which forced Matt Ryan to having to throw the ball to try to get the lead back down 30-26 against the Bears defense without Julio Jones and no Russell Gage. So Ryan is down to basically spare parts in Calvin Ridley, okay, because Hunter Hurst was being taken away all day long because he only had 2 targets all day.
And Ridley, Matt Ryan, let's give him that much credit.
Yes, but the thing is, it should not have gotten to this. Atlanta needs to play defense, but at the same time, Dirk Cutter, the offense, needs to run the damn football. How do you fix the Falcons at this point? It's real simple. I said it again last week. Fire the head coach. Fire the defensive coordinator. And at this point, you fire Dirk Cutter as well, too. You clear everybody out the house. Okay? Listen, this was the best time to do it. Atlanta doesn't play again until next Monday night anyway. If you're fired Dan Quinn today, it would have made things so much easier because you could have had a new head coaching staff in place. Hell, made the offensive line head coach do it. I don't care who it is. Let Freddie Falcon do it. Kyle, me and you can go head coach this team. There is no way Dan Quinn should have a job right now. But guess what? The owner won't pull the trigger. Read the AJC yesterday. They were calling for his job yesterday. Everybody at Atlanta knows that Dan Quinn needs to go. It's not only bad that you lost 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Now you have back-to-back weeks where your offensive team supposedly knows how to recover onside kicks and can't do it. Once again, the defense fails the offense once again. Yes, Matt Ryan did throw an interception late in the game, but he should not have had to been throwing the ball down when you were up by 16 points in the 4th quarter. The defense played well for 3 quarters. For 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, the Falcon defense played well. But for a 5-minute stretch of the game, they forget what defense really is. It's time for a new voice. I'm going to keep saying this again. He's got to go. But guess what? How to fix the Falcons is Arthur Blank needs to fix himself. Arthur Blank needs to figure out that, guess what? It's not about loyalty. Dan Quinn's a good, nice human being. It's about winning football games because the more the Falcons fans have to see this, you think Falcons fans are dispersed now. Imagine when the stadium opens up in October and no fans show up because guess what? You're not going to spend harder money in coronavirus season to watch foolishness on Sundays. Like you watch at home and drink at home.
because
It is
apparently
that simple.
you need a lot to drink. Danny Thompson, I have a pop quiz for you, sir. Did you just refer to Arthur Blank as Jerry Jones Light?
No, because Jerry Jones attempts to do things to help his franchise win. Arthur Blank plays loyalty game. Arthur Blank needs to fire Dan Quinn and get this over with. Stop putting the Falcons fans in misery. This thing should have been fired a long time ago. This is like breaking up with the ex that you don't want to break up with because it's convenient. It's time to go. It's time for a new change. It's time for it. Dan Quinn needed to go a long time ago. Matt Ryan's 34 years old, and guess what? His best years are about to become behind him. You have wasted his prime years because of a defense that can't defense. Yes, Matt Ryan makes mistakes, and quarterback doesn't make mistakes. But there's too many times where the Falcons offense does enough and the offense plays well for 3 quarters, and guess what? They have to boot themselves out. And by the way, Wnba, can he stop missing extra points here?
Hey, listen,
all right.
You're surprised by Wnba missing extra points? That was happening when he was a San Diego, still San Diego Charger, giving opportunities for the Dolphins to win football games when I first started at the Dolphins wire. So I don't want to hear about all that. They knew what they were getting in Wnba. Hell, he was missing him in the AAF. But hey, I'll put it this way to you, Danny Thompson. At this point, I don't know when the Falcons play on a Thursday night. But if I think it would be
Carolina. It's the Carolina game. It's the Carolina game on Thursday night.
Oh, it's this week?
No, it's I think it's next week. The week 5 or week 7, I think it is.
I think at that point is when you would see Arthur Blank pull the trigger. And if he doesn't, I will join you in the harsh criticism.
I might be at the point where I might not shave my beard until they fire Dan Quinn, but this could take a while. All right. Speaking of things that take a while, it's time for our favorite segment of the show. It is time for Mount Rushmore, Kyle. So for those who've never watched this show before, shame on you. And those who've never heard of this segment, double shame on you. Exactly. Me and Kyle go through what we call Mount Rushmore. We take a topic and we pick our top 4 things to do. And Kyle, this week, as we talked about the Atlanta Falcons, and in people who know my social media, and as soon as the game, I was on vacation this weekend, and it was 26-10. I was out eating, and I'm thinking, hey, it's 6 minutes left in the game. The Falcons are 26-10. This over with. We got this. I know that in my heart of hearts what's really about to happen. But I had a text message sitting in draft from my main man, Raphael Haynes, Mr. Controversy himself, because he's a Bears fan. I had a text in my draft box waiting. I was waiting. I finished dinner and I come out of dinner, and next thing you know, my phone blows up. And the first message I see is from my tag team partner. It says it's a virtual hug. At that point, I knew what was happening. I did not want to open my phone. I knew what was happening. I opened my phone. It was 30-26, and and the Bears had just taken the lead. And at that point, I was out of town, and I didn't know what to do with myself, because if I had been at home, I would have been drinking. So, Kyle, since I was not home yesterday, tonight's Mount Rushmore, Kyle, because what would have happened was I would have been drinking myself into oblivion, which guess what? Would have led me to a hangover, a serious, severe hangover. So, Kyle, in my non-hangover state, Kyle, if I would have drunk myself into oblivion, what is your Mount Rushmore of things to get over a hangover from watching your team blow 2 15-point leads in 2 weeks if I've been at home drinking? So, Kyle, what is your Mount Rushmore of things to get rid of a hangover?
I thought you were about to say your Mount Rushmore of coffee. Far more direct than I did, sir. So listen, part of this is going to be a PSA, folks. There is truth to the water theory. If you know your team is starting to suck, or if your team has a big lead with a propensity to blow said lead, just start ordering the water right then. Folks, if you're hydrated, you will not feel that awful. Sure, your soul may be crushed, but your head won't hurt, and that's the important thing in avoiding a hangover. For the second one, listen, folks, I don't know about you guys. I love it. For me, I'm a big dude. The rules don't really apply to me. So if I start to feel like that, if it works for me to recover, it might help you just a little bit. But me, I just started doing stuff, getting busy. You know when I've gotten some of my best sports work done is leading into Sundays, Danny Thompson, recovering from a hangover. Because the moment I get myself focused on something different, the headache goes away. The blood rushes to the brain, and everything starts to get right. So do something. Not too crazy. I mean, I'm talking about mentally. Do something that has concentration. I know you're just waking up, but hey, if there's a favorite mobile game, I'm not saying do work. Just do something that could keep your mind occupied without knocking down your butt too much. This is a tough one, damn. Not for nothing, I know a lot of people say coffee. It works. Okay, I'm going to put coffee there, but that's really to kind of supplement once you're rehydrated. Listen, at the end of the day, you do need to get your energy running after all that if you want to get a day started. The coffee will help you do that. Also, if you're like me and you're cheap and you only drink coffee at the office, coffee works a lot better than normal on you right now. So that coffee will get you in here just to make sure that after you use it, make sure you supplement with some water as well. And lastly, there's nothing wrong with retreating. Just put your beep back to sleep. And when you come back, you'll be in a better place. Ready?
Bobby, what you got for the Mount Rushmore hangover cures? There you go.
I'm gonna take a pass on this one. I don't get hungover too often.
Yeah, because you actually watch winning football teams. All right, so
he has alcohol. Alcohol stream. That's what it is.
Drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, that's real, dude. Hey, I love that. Not for nothing. I love that Kevin Garnett commercial for Crown with the water break. That's so perfect. It's a funny commercial. Excellent PSA. Bravo to Crown.
All right, so now here's what I would have done, barring me being home. And here's the reason why I say hangover cure is because the Falcons have made me drink my share in my lifetime, 28-3. I didn't do it yesterday. Like it's gotten to that point where you just have to take shots to figure out when Dan Quinn's getting fired. All right, so the Mount Rushmore hangover cures on my end. Number one is bread. It's very simple. I mean, bread is something that soaks up things. It doesn't soak up pass defenses, but it soaks up a lot of things. All right. Now, unless the bread is like unless the bread has baguettes, has holes in it, like the Falcon secondary, it will work very correctly. All right. Number two, like I mentioned before, is water. And like Bobby mentioned this before too, water is one of them. Water flows. Water flows like the Falcons' offense for 3 quarters. It flows very well. It keeps you hydrated and it gets the job done. Now, mind you, you get tired of tasting water after a while. So sometimes when it comes to in the clutch, water might not be there for you, but water does a very, very good job. Number 3, listen, it's kind of underrated in my book, but hey, for me, chocolate. Listen, nothing gets you through life gets you through life watching Falcons games than guess what? Chocolate. Why? Because something you're doing is actually doing something correctly. You can't go wrong chewing chocolate. It is what it is. It doesn't fail you.
Side note, Danny Thompson, chocolates are also good to help you recover from breakups, like you're asking for from Dan Quinn.
Listen, I need to send Dan Quinn a whole bunch of chocolate because the breakup is what we need as well too. So how do you get over it? And last but not least, how do you get over Mount Rushmore hangover cures? Is not watching Atlanta Falcons football games after the game is over. All right, so
abstinence.
But mind you, as I say all this, I might say all this, but guess what? As soon as this is over, I am always forever bleeding Atlanta red and black. I'm a diehard Falcons fan. No matter how much of the foolishness I deal with, that's not changing. So I have gone through. I'm a snake bitten fan. It is what it is. I might be a Chicago Cubs fan for it's over. I might not see a championship in my lifetime, but I will cheer on my Falcons until the very end. So I can crack my jokes and say my jokes as well too. And for those who think I'm going to change teams, there's not a chance. But mind you, if you come for me in any type of social media platform, I will ether you in every single way possible. Don't worry. I got something on every single NFL team. So if you really want to come out the Falcons, I will ether you. I don't care who your franchise is. I will ether you.
What do you have on the Niners other than, you need a MASH unit? What? You can come back.
First off.
Oh, no, he put up the kitten. Hey, but you know what, Danny? I believe you. Tell me that you still bleed your black and red. I mean, hey, as much as the Falcons make your heart bleed, you look at it every week. So obviously you know it too.
I can't stand you as my co-host. So we're also having co-host. We're having co-host trials next week, and Rodney's is. I mean, listen, sleep is sleep. Listen. Yes, I mean, all four of those are very, very. You can't go wrong with those. I was going to mention sleep, but the problem is it was sleep as a Falcons fan, and you lose at what you have yesterday. You wake up to it on first take in the morning.
It's a good point, Eddie Thompson. It does not make the problem go away.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Also, the other thing that could cure it, also honorable mention, is cutting off your cell phone, because otherwise nobody's in your inbox talking about what happened on Sunday.
I'm not going to.
All right, Kyle. Any shouts before we go, my friend?
Listen, great times all the way around. I'm definitely going to shout out the 3-point conversion. See what I had to write about UCF. Well, yet ultimately successful performance against the East Carolina University Pirates. Shout out to Antoine Stanley, like he didn't care about the game after it was over within the first quarter. And then, of course, give shouts out to my dude. 7:30 Wednesday nights on YouTube's Hilarity by Default, the Hilarity by Default channel, I should say. And hit me up on Twitter. The SOTG on Instagram has the same. The SOTG interviews passing through there. I mean, not interviews. I'm sorry, press conferences passing through there. I've coordinated with the boss man, Controversy Raphael. I'm going to get some interviewage up there. It's going to be a good time. And then who else? Oh yeah, oldschool101.com as well. Check out the work there. I think that's everybody. Danny.
Bobby, don't we have an announcement from I-95 and Blackjack TV?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I thought we had an announcement about a new program that's starting up on the network. I thought it was.
Still working on it.
Oh, okay. All right. Any shots, Bobby, before you go?
No. Just I told Kyle this before, Danny. I think our show here will have more viewers than the Jets Broncos on Thursday night.
I mean, obviously, we'll have more viewers than they have first downs in the first half. I'm pretty sure it is.
Ooh.
Now, we might not beat punts, though. That's one thing we might not beat in that game.
No, not punts.
You know what? And this is the reason why the NFL Thursday package is arguably the worst in sports. Like, we don't need Thursday night games. We really don't.
We'll go to war on this, sir.
It would be hilarious. You know when they had those? You have the cutout fans in the stands. Like somebody should sneak in there and put the cutout fans with like bags over their heads. That would just be like the funniest thing ever.
No, what they need to do is have cutout fans walk out and leaving in the middle of the game.
Yeah, you think me too. Like to put hydraulics in them, and then they start. That'd be awesome.
But we do need. But Bobby has a great point. We do need a cardboard version of Fireman Ed saying JETS Jets and NONO no. All right. All right, so before we go, big shout out to our good friends at I-95 and Zingo Television, everybody on Facebook Live, everybody sharing the show on all the different platforms, everybody who stopped in the chat tonight. My main man, Rodney, also Daniel Acevedo, my main man, our good friend of the show, Brian Paul, who's also one of our 6 men off the bench when we need him. Also, big shout out to Mike DeSantis, who's dropped by, who's probably in the middle of his drinking game right now because I think Brian Greasy is on like the 48th time he said Wink Martindale because obviously the Ravens defense are playing like Wink Martindale's let's make a deal with Patrick Mahomes. All right. Also, big shout out to our good friends at the 3-point conversion, the staff and me and Kyle write with on a weekly basis. And yes, I know I have not written on the column this week, but guess what? I do have something interesting for the 3-point conversion this week. It is the Wnba Season-Ending top 25, and I don't mean top 25 rankings because there's only 12 teams in the league. I have ranked the top 25 players in the bubble this year.
Nice.
This is going to be interesting. This is going to be an interesting list because there's so many players that missed the bubble. So before you jump at me, yes, I did not include players that did not play in the bubble. Read the article, find out who my top 25 is. Also check out my article, my work at sportsillustrated.com, FSI.com. My NBA work is over there. I do have Hornets press conferences going out throughout the entire week. And there will be stuff coming up all week, as well as you might see something about the NBA draft as well is there as well too. All right. So for myself, the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash, Bobby Blackjack, up in New Jersey. Oh, by the way, before we go, Kyle, I don't even have to say it no more because at this point, The case has already been closed, but when her name will never ever be out of my mouth, please arrest the killers that shot Breonna Taylor for no reason. And since Daniel Cameron won't do it, hopefully the state will overturn it and also get the Supreme Court involved in it, because guess what? Breonna Taylor and the many others that have been killed senselessly for no reason, they need justice for themselves as well too. So it's out of Daniel Cameron's hands anymore. Can't ask him for help anymore. It's time to get people above him, and also at the same time get his ass out of office. All right. So for myself, Kyle, Bobby, and the Atlanta Falcons fans that are still around. Oh, by the way, I didn't give Precious a shout out because she destroyed my team tonight. All right. So all right. Oh, there we go. All right. So for myself, Kyle, Bobby, we'll catch you guys on Thursday night, because guess what? It's Jets and Broncos. But Kyle, the only problem is we're going against Game 2 of the NBA Finals. Exactly.
Whoever won the first game, you already know. Here we go.
So for me and Kyle, we're out. See you guys on Thursday. Peace out.